Good day, everybody. It's fantastic Friday. We've got to the end of another week. Yes, we've got to an end of another week. We're still here. I'm not looking at the lid, so that's a good thing. And basically, the world of silver and gold. Oh my goody aunt, what the hell has been going on? I don't know if any of you have been looking at the news and watching what's been happening. But for me, I just find it incredible what's gone on this week. Vice President of America, he's gone on camera and he's not once, but twice, he's been saying being the world's currency, the dollar the dollar being the world's currency is a curse. Really? Really? And then Korea. The AI, the sell-off stocks, it fell by nearly 11% in a single session. That's the worst in its entire history. So bad, it triggered an auto freeze of the entire market while they came to grips with what the hell was going on. Who would have thought it? I just can't believe it. And then Japan. Japan wants to sell off the US bonds to prop up their own currency, and the US stepped in and said, hey, hang on a minute, guys, we can't have this. And they quite literally just printed money to bail them out, even though that's not official, a bailout. But they printed money to the tune of 85 billion to stop the collapse. You just can't make it up. And then Japan. They've propped up the world's. They've been propping up the world with cheap interest rates, and their rates have jumped to 3%. Now, 3% doesn't sound a lot, but when you consider that's their highest interest rate over the last 30 years, that is the highest it's ever been. That is seismic. Pardon the pun there, because I know they get a lot of problems with. With seismic activity, but that is seismic. That is huge. And then the US Treasury starts buying back their long-term debt, and that turned really negative yesterday, coupled with the fact that the poor job news as well. So, you have to start asking. So all these things that I've been talking about over the last, God knows how many videos, but that I've been talking about how this has been bad. And the whole bond market is so disillusioned. You've got rates climbing when they shouldn't be, but that's just how bad things are. Really, when you put it all together, if any one of these stories happened in a week, you'd be going, wow, that's a pretty huge story. But to have all of those stories in 1 week is just completely off the charts. But they're all linked. For them to occur all in a single week, these things are completely linked. You've got to ask yourself. Yesterday on Thursday, this is Thursday the 20th of August, US debt, it crashed through the actual $40 trillion barrier. It absolutely smashed through it. And then with some quantitative easing, as I film this now, I'm just having a look at the US live debt clock, so that you can actually see, what's going on. And somehow, with a bit of printing, it's dropped below the 40 trillion, but it's still climbing. It's just still climbing on a second by second basis. Assuming that they don't print anything else today, then clearly it's going to be back through the 40 trillion again. So, it's had a hover. It's had a hover moment. But it's still mental. Absolutely mental. So when I filmed, I made that film a few weeks ago. Do you remember? I made that video where I was talking about, is the dollar reset and the gold reset underway? Is this something we should be looking at? Well, clearly the de-dollarization is now in full swing. as the world is turning their back on the dollar and putting their money into gold and to silver. So the erosion of cash in your bank is now not a hypothesis, but a solid reality. So you guys, I'm not your financial expert, or financial consultant. Basically, what you guys have got to do is your own research or get your own advice. But, guys, open your eyes, look around you, see what's going on. Even when you've got like the head of banks saying you should be in gold, that's when things are getting really gritty, So Jim Rogers. Now, a lot of you may never have heard of this guy, but he's a billionaire who, with George Soros, one of the richest men on the planet, for 10 years, they made more money than the entire stock market did. I mean, now that shows you. So this is a very, very powerful guy. So he knows a thing or two. He sold everything. He sold everything but his gold and his silver. So that tells you in itself, like a whole story. Why? Why would this guy sell all his stocks off, other than a few speculative bits, but he's kept all his gold and silver? What does that tell you? It speaks volumes to me. Me, I always say to people, you've got to do your own research. You've got to look into these things very carefully. Don't spend a penny piece unless you've done your research. But, for me, I mean, silver has it's gone up over 14% so far this month. Gold has gone up over 10%. So what does that tell you? I mean, put your comments in the down below so I can read them, because I respond to them. But for me, silver has so much more room to grow in value. One of the things that I've looked at, and why I keep saying silver's got so much more room to grow, I look at gold as my long-term investment. I look at that and I think to myself, right, my gold is my long-term thing. My silver, is my medium to long-term thing. Because at the end of the day, I'm both a stacker and a collector, as we all know. I love the shiny stuff, the twinkly bits. Even when I look at things like this, I just think, oh, I love the weight of this. Christ, what does this actually weigh? This is what I've got it up for. It's 250, and that's cheap. I mean, that is cheap. But when I look at this, I just look at it and I think to myself, oh my God, it's a shame I've got that price sticker right over the top of where I stamped the weight. Actually, we've got a COA in there. Let's have a look at the COA. Because all my stuff comes with a COA. 3.9 ounces. No wonder I'm saying it weighs a ton. 3.9 ounces. That's nearly 4 troy ounces. Wow. Yeah. So that's a proper chunk. That's a proper piece. In fact, I love it. I'm going to hold it a bit more. It just warms in the hand. Anyway, getting back to the point, as it's Fab Friday. Why? I've been looking at I've been spending a bit of time looking at the gold to silver ratios. Now, when we look at the gold to silver ratio, I just think silver has so much more room to grow. Now, if you go back over the last, 1,000 years, the ratio of gold to silver normally sits at around sort of 15 to 1. So for every ounce of gold, if you want to buy an ounce of gold, you need to use 15 ounces of silver. That's what you typically look at, right? Now, you might have heard the term, the fact that silver is predominantly, it's a byproduct. Now that means that for every ounce of gold that comes out of the ground, typically another 10 ounces of silver comes out with it. Now, you've heard the term, we've all heard the term, a silver lining. Well, that's an old mining term, because what it means is they were pulling out the silver lining. That was the 10 ounces of silver that come out with the gold. And that was their little Brucey bonus. So from that point of view, now you know where that term has come from. But so if you're looking at that, you would say, well, that makes it 1 to 10. But then by the time you've actually added in production costs, mining costs and everything else to get that to market, suddenly that jumps up to like a 15%. So that's why we end up with this ratio of about 1 to 15. Now today, on the prices at the currently, we're looking at around a 65 to 1 ratio. 60. Silver is 65%. We need of gold. Now that means even for us to get us to that means silver has got so much room to actually grow. And to for us to make some money out of our investment. So, because remember, at the end of the day, nobody's paying you interest on your gold or your silver. You're doing this as as a speculative investment. But compared to keeping your money in the bank, obviously this makes, it just pales into insignificance. We all know that at the end of the day, if we leave our money in the bank, we're not earning bugger all. The government's always looking at more ways to actually tax what we can now, what we've already paid tax on. Let's see if we can tax you a bit more, guys. We're sure we can put a squeeze on for you, because that's what they do. Now, it just underlines for me what I've been saying for a long time. That is, I'm going to be putting my whatever spare money I've got into my physical. This is the bit, the physical gold and silver. I've said to you for a long time now, just watch what's going to happen in August. I've been saying this for a long while. August is when prices are going to change. And of course, that is what's happening now. I expect to see prices climb throughout the year now, until early next year. I think prices will have hit a plateau in sort of like earlier part of next year. But I mean, you tell me in the comments. tell me what your thoughts are, because I'm always keen to listen to what other people have got to say, and share their comments on, on what is going on and how it affects them. I just think it's a really, really interesting conversation to have. But I genuinely think, that you're going to see prices going to escalate now. Already we've now seen today silver is currently sitting at over £50 an ounce. And when you think it was only a very short period ago that we were sitting at £42 an ounce. So it just shows you just how much things have changed. And I expect to see them continue, because of obviously at the end of the day, these things will change. There's nothing anybody can do about it. The rug has been pulled out now, or as they say, the genie is out of the bottle. So I'm going to be putting another video up in that corner. There'll be a playlist up in that corner, as there always is. And there's going to be a subscribe button. So please, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have, please like the video, because it means that I get out to speak to more and more people wider. I've noticed that my audience now, or we've now grown an audience that we've got 20% of our viewers are in America itself. And we've also got people from as far as Australia. Hi, Germany. I know you tune in. So good to see you guys back on the channel, having a look and seeing what's going on. I know you favour the pouring. I've been putting up more pouring. But yeah, if you want to come and see me, or you want to buy these pieces, as I say, you can drop me an email, sovereignhall2025@gmail.com, and I can make arrangements for you to pay by PayPal. So, and then I send everything by special delivery. Obviously, if you want to come and see me this weekend, I'll be down in Windsor. Now, they've got an antiques fair in the community centre in Hanover Way. So if you want to pop down and see me on Sunday, I'll be there all day. Failing that, I shall speak to you all soon, guys. I genuinely hope you have a fab day, and I look forward to speaking to you all again on another video. Take care now. Bye for now.